PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to PACTV Community News, where we bring you stories from the South Shore, including a teacher from Plymouth who was given a creative award for his classroom, and we hear about Kingston's 2020 plans and its Native connection.
Our arts and entertainment brings us the band Sparrow Blue on set for an interview and a song.
We have several holiday stories, including food donations from the South Shore Community Action Council.
We hear how a local chocolatier prepares for the busy holidays, and we meet one man who takes on a Christmas carol all by himself.
It's a full show, and we start things off with a moving group of young people who take their personal story all over the state. Substance abuse and addiction can literally affect anyone, either directly or indirectly. It also has no age discrimination, as we've seen it affect minors, not even in their teens yet. One way to deal with recovery from this addiction for these youngsters, believe it or not, has been through the theater. We met up with the director and the creator of Drug Story Theater as they rehearsed for an upcoming show to learn more about this therapeutic style of performance art.
It's your mind playing tricks. Now you're dancing with the devil.
If my brain is going to choose between fear and pleasure, it's going to choose pleasure every time.
Obviously.
It's called Drug Story Theater, and if you haven't heard of it yet, there's a good chance you'll be hearing about it sooner than later. Dr. Joseph Schrand created this production company after working with teens and preteens dealing with substance abuse issues for the better part of the last decade.
I've created CASTLE, which is Clean and Sober Teens Living Empowered. It's part of High Point Treatment Center. So I've, since 2008, have been working with kids in recovery. And in 2010, I began to get this idea, maybe we can find another avenue for them to help them in their sobriety.
That avenue would be the stage. Andy Short, who had been working at Improv Boston, would direct them in this production entitled The Price You Pay.
This show basically tracks the progression of addiction. So you go through the seduction, which is basically the introduction to drugs and alcohol, the addiction phase, which is kind of where you separate the addicts from the non-addicts, right? Or the substance abusers from the non-substance abusers, and then through the recovery phase, which we ultimately hope to get to, and kind of the tribulations and trials that show themselves in that phase.
The cast features young people all in recovery and has ranged from 12 years of age to 20. This night's group was between 14 and 18. Here in Marshfield at the North Community Church Parish House is where this acting troupe has gotten together. Right now they're inside running through their lines for a show that they have coming up soon. Having lived the life of a drug user himself, this production has a special place in Andy Short's heart.
I've been in recovery for 5 years now, a little bit more, and something that I've learned from that experience is in order to stay in recovery, I need to be of service to people who are also trying to recover from basically substance abuse. So that's one of the big reasons I'm here. It's definitely a deeply personal thing for me.
This is a modality that is untapped. You know, other people are using theater, it's true, but what we do is add in the science. This is based on real brain science. So in between each scene of the show, the kids do a PowerPoint presentation teaching the audience what was happening in their brain. It's pretty amazing.
In Marshfield, I'm Brian Sullivan for PCN.
The town of Kingston will be celebrating the Plymouth 400 by kicking off what they're calling Kingston 2020. There will be a series of lectures and meetings to inform the public about the role of the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag tribe playing in the towns of Kingston. Melissa James Perry and Jonathan Perry hosted the first event at the Senior Center in Kingston, and we stopped by to take it all in.
Kingston is going to take part in the celebration for Plymouth's 400, and we have started an organization that's going to be headlined as Kingston 2020. So we're going to highlight Kingston's historical aspects dating back the 400 years, and that is going to be a representation of the Pilgrims as they existed in Kingston, as well as an equal share in partnership with the Wampanoag tribe. Today we're actually starting the kickoff of Kingston 2020. We have with us today members from the Wampanoag tribe, Elizabeth James Perry and Jonathan Perry, and they're going to share with us today some of the stories of their culture and their history. And we have some, they're both artists in their own right, and Elizabeth has brought some of her jewelry for showing, and she's going to do a little demonstration at the end. We're looking at having different presentations throughout the years leading up to 2020. Early on, they talk about we have the general public with us today, and we're giving everybody a taste of what we're going to be building up to for 2020. We hope after today's presentation that people can walk away with a better sense of their own history, because we all are a part of the past and how we all intertwined with each other, and the fact that the Wampanoags did bring a lot to us, and at the end of the day, none of us would be here had they not helped when the first Pilgrims arrived. So it's so we can all get a better understanding of how they helped the Pilgrims succeed.
One of the nice things about working in community television is that we get a chance to meet some of the great educators we have here in the South Shore. We were lucky enough to have recently met with one of them at the Plymouth Community Intermediate School. 8th grade math teacher Ryan Ross was one of several teachers given the Creative Teacher Award from the STEP Foundation for his ideas on promoting technology and science in the classroom. That award came with a $500 grant. We stopped by to see what Mr. Ross spent that money on.
Using our calculators, and more specifically, if you have your phone, you have the calculator on your phone. Back in June, I got a grant. It's called the Creative Teacher Award. Somebody nominated me for that. And so I got $500 to do what I wanted with it. And so through the years, I've noticed students have been using a graphing calculator, and they can use that at their end of the year exam, their PARCC exam, but they weren't necessarily proficient with it. They were, they'd get it. We do a little bit in class, but we have other things that we need to do in class besides using the graphing calculator. So there was a need. They could use it. It was a piece of technology that wanted them to use for their advantage. However, they just weren't that great at it yet. So I wanted each of those students to have one that they could explore on their own. And one idea was to actually get them a graphing calculator. However, they're like $90, so they're expensive. And so I wanted to think of a cheaper option that they could use. So what I came up with was buying an app for them. Okay, so I used that grant money to buy an app. And so now they have a graphing calculator on their phone, because just about all of them have a phone. So that way at home, I might give them an assignment. And at home, they can use their phone, just go right on their phone, use the app for their assignment. Because they use the calculators more in high school than they do in middle school. So I really want them, once they get to high school, that they really have that ground base where they're able to just go running. They're able to use that calculator in high school and use it to their advantage. The grant was given by the STEP Foundation, which really encourages technology, science, engineering into the classroom. So we use that grant money for a piece of technology. Kids like to explore. They want to explore. They don't want just an assignment given to them. Before, when I used to give them the graphing calculators, it was like the greatest thing in the world. They loved getting those out, using them in the classroom. But I had specific things I wanted them to do with it. Now it's on their phone, they can explore with it. So they can take that graphing calculator and see what it really does. Where kids are really good at getting a piece of technology and just really seeing what it does on their own, not necessarily teacher directed.
Wow. I remember back when I was in high school in the dinosaur days that we didn't even use calculators at all. We had to use paper and pencil. Right. And that's pretty terrific that they even know how to use them. Forget about the fact that they got them.
That was crazy. Kids have phones now. I know we had fingers and toes when I was a kid, and that was about it. And my friend had webbed toes, so it was really tough for him to do it.
Thank you, Brian. Great story. It's difficult to imagine the holiday season without chocolate. At nearly every gathering you attend between now and New Year's, you'll find some sort of confectionery treat just tempting you to take a bite. If you're a chocolate manufacturer, this is your boom time. But if you're a small operation like Fidelitys hand-dipped chocolates in Pembroke, how do you keep up with the Nestle's and the Hershey's of the world? We met up with owner Ron Fideli to get some insight into that.
Nothing screams out the words holiday season like a 25-pound chocolate Santa. Yep, it's real, and it's just one of the hundreds of holiday-themed items that line the shelves at Fidelitys hand-dipped chocolates in Pembroke. But we didn't stop in to shop, as tempting as it was. We wanted to find out just how this small family-run chocolate shop keeps up with the hectic holiday season. So we started in the factory. Down here in the basement at Fidelitys is where the magic happens, and you can see just behind me the ladies are working on chocolate-dipped Oreos, and around the corner they're packaging up 9-piece assortments that they'll put on display upstairs.
On a typical month like June, July, or August, we'll sell 300 to 400 Oreos, chocolate covered between milk and dark chocolate. In the month of December, we're going to sell probably about 5,000 Oreos just for the month. Different sizes, and peanut butter cups about the same numbers. It's pretty crazy.
Increased production usually means longer hours at the shop and probably a few more hands helping out.
We double our staff just about as far as hours go, both in time and duration of the day, and we start the day pretty much at 7 a.m. every day, and it ends anywhere between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. was the last person out the door last night. A lot of production, a lot of making chocolate Santa Clauses, making nonpareils, peanut butter cups, Oreos, all that kind of stuff, as well as centers for the showcase.
Even with the spike in customer orders and chocolate production, it would be interesting to know just how this small operation matches up with the big candy companies.
A confectionery shop like Fidelitys is kind of like going to grandma's. You know, you've got some old-fashioned techniques that we use in making our chocolates. It's really homemade, and that's a lot different than the stuff that was produced back the 4th of July to get distributed nationwide or worldwide, which we're becoming with the big companies. And they have to do that. They're already done with their Easter production now, and we're still just getting started on a lot of things.
Just as certain supermarkets pump the smell of baking bread through their vents to lure people in, Fidelitys has a way of capturing their customers' olfactory senses as well.
When you walk into our shop, we've got packages wrapped in gold paper that say Merry Christmas, the smell of peppermint hitting your nose. It's really an experience when you walk into the chocolate shop.
Much to the chagrin of my news director, I was able to resist the temptation and not bring any samples back to the office. Outside Fidelitys Chocolates in Pembroke, I'm Brian Sullivan for PCN. A longtime favorite, Dickens, A Christmas Carol, has been performed with many theater companies across the world. But the Plymouth Center for the Arts has a one-man independent Reviewers of New England award-winning production with Neil McGarry, the founder and artistic director for the Bay Colony Shakespeare Company. PCN caught up with Neil a few weeks ahead to find out how he pulls off this interesting take on a classic.
Who's never painted out Old Marley's name?
I've been an actor for 35 years. I've been artistic director of the Bay Colony Shakespeare Company for the last 3. We have performed up and down the South Shore and in Boston and on the Cape and New York. And this past summer, we were in Plymouth Center for the Arts with The Winter's Tale and The Midsummer Night's Dream for a month, I think it was. And yeah, for a month. And then last December, I brought Christmas Carol to Plymouth Center for the Arts, and it was the first time I played here. I do the show because I love it. I have a long-standing relationship with the story that goes back to being a young kid. It's a milestone in my development as an actor, and but to do it now for the 3rd time, 3rd season, it is really a labor of love. It's an extraordinary story and it contains so much, and it's so rich, and speaks to our social contract. It's also a great connection to my parents, who loved the story a lot. And I think of all the different things I've done in 35 years, that was the thing that they liked the most that I did. What is it like to do a one-man show? It's an athletic event. In particular, this. I've done a few one-man shows, but this one is, you're running somewhere between a 10K and a marathon. I've played Hamlet, and when I played Hamlet, I was burning 3,000 calories a night. This is kind of like that. It requires a huge amount of energy. It's a great conversation, too, with people, and it has its roots in Daddy, tell me a story. And it's as simple as that. And that seems to allow what Dickens wrote for me. It seems to allow it to lift. But it requires a lot of energy. I've been an actor for a long time, and steered my own course for the last 3. I mean, we're always steering our own course. But to have a company that's been exclusively pretty much on the South Shore. We've done 11 plays. Yeah, this will be the 11th, 12th. It's been a rich and rewarding experience to do that, and a great gift, and a great meeting. Talk to a lot of people, not just as an actor, but as a producer, as a facilitator. There's a lot of reaching out and inviting people in to the work, to a space, to a company of actors. The solo pieces are a little different, but it's good fun.
Marley's face.
The South Shore Community Action Council Food Resources Program and Food Distribution Center works extra hard around the holidays, especially Thanksgiving through Christmas. The organization collects and provides food for the county's needy and also for school programs. PCN stopped in to learn more.
South Shore Community Action Council has been in existence 50 years, and we provide a variety of programs. The Food Distribution Center is one. Fuel assistance, we have consumer aid. We do a lot of different programming in the community to help people help themselves. We have 4 Plymouth schools. Cold Spring School is our newest, Hedge School, Indian Brook, and Nathaniel Morton. And we provide food for the children that receive free lunch for the weekend. These are children that may have had no food after school lunch until Monday morning breakfast. So it's a critical step, especially with young minds that are growing and improving. We've had an improvement in attendance, less visits to the nurse with food issues like an upset stomach that might be just a hunger issue as opposed to the flu or illness or something like that. I appreciate the donation of turkeys from the baseball team. It's wonderful that they've stepped up to do this, and I know the community really appreciates it.
Today is kind of exciting, especially for our clients. Today we're lucky enough to be receiving 30 turkeys from the Gobbler. And we're very excited because this means a lot to the people we service. Most of our women are recent victims of domestic violence, and they truly are living at poverty level. But they also live a lot of times under the grid because of the perpetrator of the crimes of domestic violence. We have over 41 requests for Thanksgiving assistance this year, and we hope to provide all 41 families with some sort of Thanksgiving dinner. We're extremely grateful, and our clients would be lost without this food bank service.
My wife and I, Lynn Shaughnessy, own a small business in town, Shaughnessy Rentals, and we also 3 years ago partnered with 6 other small businesses in town, and we brought to Plymouth the first college baseball team, summer baseball team. The program, the reason for bringing the program to Plymouth was for a couple reasons. One is to provide a source of entertainment for such a great community. Number two, to raise some money through ticket sales, through concessions, through apparel, so that we can give it back to the community. And that's what brings us here today. We've thought of some outlets, and the South Shore Action Council being an unbelievable program for the community. It helps those that are not as fortunate, and we're very happy to partner with them and be able to provide 200 turkeys so that people don't go without a meal this Thanksgiving.
I'd like to thank the Plymouth Pilgrims for stepping up to the plate on this. I know it's not baseball season, but hopefully they'll be back at it. It's a great take for the community to have a baseball club in town. So I'd like to thank the Lions Club of Plymouth. They've made some generous donations. They were able to help us secure a walk-in freezer for Linda, the food resource manager. So without that walk-in freezer, we wouldn't be able to take 200 frozen turkeys in. Basically, hunger's not a seasonal thing. It's a year-round thing. It's something that's constant. So it's just the holidays. People seem to get an upwell of giving, and thankfully Dan and the baseball team and Gobbles was able to come out and help out this year.
Thanks for watching. You can find replay times at PACTV.org or on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for previews and links as well. We will end tonight with our in-studio musical guest, Sparrow Blue and Maureen Bates. See you next week for more PACTV community news. Now, take it away, Maureen.
Thanks so much, Julie. Tonight we have on Sparrow Blue. Welcome, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
So tell us, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you guys are from.
My name is Todd Nickerson. I'm from Cape Cod. And like you said, we're Sparrow Blue. And you can speak for yourself.
I'm Katie Bach, and I'm from Duxbury.
Very cool. Very local. Very local. So there seems to be a lot of back and forth between country and Americana. To you, what's different about Americana from country?
Go ahead.
Well, I think that Americana draws from probably a more varied background, maybe a little bit of bluegrass or blues or old-time tunes, and it's probably a little bit less genre-specific. I think it kind of covers maybe a wider variety of genres, and
like a melding pot of American music.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you?
I agree with what she said so far. I don't know what to add, really.
Great. So maybe tell us a little bit about the influence of your music. Why did you decide on Americana music? How did you guys get together as a band?
I was in I'm somewhat still active in another band that was playing around in the area, and we had Katie sit in with us one time, or several times, and we basically ended up writing songs together, and here we are today as Sparrow Blue.
Excellent, excellent. What will you be playing for us tonight?
We're going to be playing an original song we wrote called More Than Whiskey.
Great. Take it away. Thank you.
I love you more than whiskey. I love you more than wine. If I told you the whole story, would you still be a friend of mine? I love you more than whiskey. I love you more than wine. If I ask for your forgiveness, would you still be a love of mine? Would you still be a love of mine? I could drink a shot of you, feel it lift me up.
I could drink a glass of you, never get enough. I love you more than whiskey. I love you more than wine. If I told you that I am sorry, would you still be a love of mine? Would you still be a love of mine, of mine? Would you still be a love of mine?